Good day, wrestling fans. I am Grizzly Joseph Dominic Grasso IV, and I welcome you to this special edition of The Road to Wrestling School, where we present a series of interviews with working professional wrestlers. So, pull up your biggest, comfiest chair next to your roaring fire, pour yourself a bottle of Shiraz, and, hell. Hello and welcome to the special edition of The Road to Wrestling School. I'm Grizzly Joe Grasso, coming to you live from the Grizzly Cave. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have a special treat for you as we introduce the first of our special interview shows. We're going to start doing these every so often, where we interview working professional wrestlers to tell you about their training and their experience in the ring. This week, we have Wildman Robbie Paige. He's a 13-year ring veteran with over 3,500 matches under his belt. He was trained by the illustrious John Rambo at the House of Pain, Neil Superior Professional Wrestling Training Center in beautiful downtown Hagerstown, Maryland. But he was also trained in Taekwondo, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and American and Muay Thai kickboxing. He is the full package. He's got the look, he's got the physique, and he's got the attitude and the experience. And now, he's going to pass on his knowledge to you in this special interview. Hamish, take it away.
First, I want to thank Robbie for being here. Robbie is a huge inspiration in the school. I'm very happy that he comes every Thursday. Thank God. Because,
very helpful.
Yes, everything he drops is gold, and especially to some guy, especially a guy like me who's been who trained for a little bit and then now has come back. It's good to have a guy who's smart, knows the business, and is not out for himself. He's out here helping people out. So.
Thank God, because you suck.
Yeah, I'm pretty bad. So, all right. So my first question, Robbie, and this is real general. So, what got you into wrestling?
What got me into wrestling? Growing up, I always wanted, to be a wrestler. I liked watching it on TV and all that stuff, but I was heavy into the martial arts when I was younger. And if I hadn't got hurt kickboxing, I probably would have went into cage fighting and stuff like that. But I got pretty severely hurt. I had to do a year and 3 months of recovery on my neck.
Wow.
I could have had the option of having surgery and recovered faster, but the doctor said I would have scar tissue, and if I were to get hurt again, it would be 10 times worse. So I went the longer recovery route, and my neck is never be 100%, but it's pretty close. I mean, when I got released from that doctor, it was about 2 months later. I went to NWO House of Pain show in Martinsburg at the Armory, and I had went numerous times when I was younger to shows, and I was like, well, at the time, me and my wife, or my girlfriend at the time, we went to the show, and I was, no offense to some of the guys, but I was like, man, these guys are out of shape, and if they can do it, I know I can do it. So a couple days later, I went down to Hagerstown, and I paid half of my tuition up front, and the next night I was training down there, and I'd say within a week I was already in matches. Because I was able to adapt
that's old school, brother.
Fast.
Yeah, that is old school. So, was there an inspiration? Was there a guy or an inspiring match that got you into it, or were you just like, man, this is it? Like for me, it was always, this is it. Like I've always wanted to do this. Like these guys should just look awesome. I want to be that.
Of course, growing up, I was like a Hogan Warrior fan, but as I got older and more mature and started studying tape and stuff, I studied guys like Ricky Steamboat, the Great Muta, and what basically told me I could get into this business with the style that I felt that I had was RVD, because he innovated his martial arts with wrestling, and he was exciting. And he did stuff that you didn't see until he came around, and that I started following him and actually went to the very first ECW pay-per-view in Philadelphia.
Cool.
It was like one of the coolest experiences ever. And RVD wasn't even supposed to be on the pay-per-view, but Candido had got hurt prior, so RVD took his place, and that made my day, man. I was like,
So how do you adapt? And this is I'm going right on. I don't even have this question down, but how do you adapt the very real, the shoot style martial arts to the pro wrestling style? I mean, obviously, you want to make things, you want things to be close, you want it to look shoot, you want it to look good, but as a guy who comes from a shoot background, I would imagine that's really difficult to walk into a ring and be like, hey, brother, I'm going to kick you in the head. I've done this a gazillion times, I'm a black belt, but I'm not going to really kick you in the head, so don't worry.
For me, it was a real easy transition because, not to say that backyard is like something good, but I did that and amateur wrestling and stuff like that, and doing the MMA and stuff like that. You already know how shit feels, so it helped with selling. Plus, I did drama and stuff when I was in high school, so that helped a lot with like the theatrics and stuff like that. So for me, it was really easy, like to be able to pull the punch just enough, but I was skilled enough to make contact without hurting the guy.
Yeah, it's you see that in guys that are really good at the transition guys who are really good at mixed martial arts or any of these martial arts backgrounds, being able to the good ones being able to stop and make it make it, sell it, do what they need to do, which I admire, because it's really hard for me to even give a good flipping chop. So God forbid. Joe, you got something, or you look like you were questioning?
Well, you talked about your theatrics. Now, in a previous conversation, you didn't just do theater in high school. You did competitive level theater. You did professional level theater in high school.
Yeah, I was in several plays. We did competitions like for state competitions, and we won a few of those. And I was hot and heavy in that. Did the backstage stuff, stage production, the lighting. I had a little mixing from top to bottom, and I didn't. In high school, I had the option to be Kaniki in Greece,
nice,
or be on the high school wrestling team.
Uh-huh.
And I chose to be on the high school wrestling team.
Good
so
man.
That was kind of like when my drama and life kind of faded off into.
That's good. Greece is a terrible show. One of our big points that we try to say, and luckily you've heard the podcast before, so you've heard this before, is that we think, really, pro wrestling is theater. It's athletic for sure, but so is a dance.
Yes.
I mean, I think a lot of guys coming into the business these days, and disagree with me if they think I'm wrong, that
I always do,
too much on the athletics and not enough on the theater.
And that's a lot of like why wrestling just isn't as good as what it used to be, because back in the day, they told a story, and you didn't have to do 500 moves to get the crowd's attention. Nowadays, guys are kicking out of 3 power bombs and a moonsault, and they're still going. I mean, it just gives that element of realism. It just kills it.
Yeah. So I'm going to shift gears because I'm. Oh no. All right. So let's keep with this.
Get it together, man.
I know I'm horrible. I'm the worst at this. So I'm kind of still kind of new in this stuff, but what's your favorite to work, face or heel?
That's a hard one, because I like being heel because of the crowd reaction and just getting the crowd to bite with every little thing you do. But on the business side, heel sucks.
Oh yeah?
Because of people don't want to buy pictures. People don't want to get your autograph. And there's not too many promoters that are going to pay you for being the bad guy. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
So, on that aspect, I'd rather be the baby, because you still get the same reaction, but you have people come to your table and buy stuff from you. In this business, you have to want to make some money too. I
right?
love
Yeah.
it, and I'll wrestle everywhere, but I can't do it for free.
No, that's a good point, and I think a strong point that needs to be made is that is that you see promotions, and everybody's seen them where, okay, so these guys are making $5, $3, maybe a slice of pizza, but you want a quality level worker, you got to actually pay somebody. You got to give them, or at least let them set up a gimmick table and let them try to make some money out of that. And that's got to be.
You pay your dues when you're in the business and you're starting up, but after you paid your dues and you've earned some respect and you go here and go there and you're having best match of the night, you're having names come up to you and give you like praise and advice and stuff like that. After you get to that point, jumping off ladders and stuff like that for free, it just, what I mean? Your body's worth more than that.
Mm-hmm. So I'm very fitness focused.
God help you are.
About 3 years ago, I was very overweight and
slightly.
Yeah, well, for me, I was very overweight for my body.
You weigh less than I do. You weighed less than I do now. Continue.
Well, as a body, all right, whatever. So
body's dysmorphia is a hell of a thing.
Shut up, Joe. God, you're the worst at this. The worst. Let me have this. This is my thing now.
Go ahead.
So I'm very focused on fitness these days. Like super into it. You have a very good physique. You obviously keep up with it. What's your fitness routine?
If I can't make it to the gym, the main thing I do every day is like core stuff, and that's push-ups, sit-ups, Hindu squats, maybe some leg raises, some dumbbells at the house, stuff like that. And that's what shreds you, like your core, because you do that stuff repeatedly. Like say you do 25 of each the first day, and then you add a couple to each one. You just eventually you're doing like 100 of each one every day, and I mean it puts strength, it cuts you up. And then when I go to the gym, I do it's like a 4-day routine, 2 days on, 1 day off, 2 days on, then you have another day off. But it's every day is a different exercise. First day is like arms. You focus on different exercises for your arms and stuff. Then I do leg day. Then I do chest, and then I do shoulders and back.
Nice.
But in between, on every day, you still do your core exercises with that. And, on your days off, if you want to throw in cardio, stuff like that, that's good to do too.
Mm-hmm. So do you do any for the listeners that will listen to this, or the three people are my mother and me and Joe, will be listening to this interview.
And R.L. Smith.
And R.L. Smith.
And Tommy Sinatra.
for those five people, oh shit! Now I lost my train of thought. We're having so much fun with that.
Good job.
No, okay, so all right. So you got the fitness routine. Boom, you got that down. Fuck, God.
Fine, I'll take over.
Yeah, thanks. I'll remember this.
You're also a trainer. You've been around the business long enough that you've acquired some experience and some skill, and you're starting to train some guys. What would you say is your methodology? How do you go about training a greenhorn? Where does he start?
Where does he start?
Where does he start for you?
First, just giving him a little bit of stuff to try out. Hit the ropes, take the bumps, see how he moves, see how he reacts, get the feel for if he really wants to do it. You blow somebody up in 5 minutes, they might not want to come back. But if they show some promise and they listen, basically I start with just bumps, ropes, lock up, your basic holds. When they get that down, then I start building your foundation. And the foundation is the most important thing. That's your chain, your psychology, how you work into a match, the transition from shine to the heat, to the comeback, to the finish. Everybody asks me a lot like how I think of my psychology, and your basic is your shine, heat, comeback, finish. But then your chain comes before your shine, your cutoff comes before your heat. You have a hope before a comeback. And there's little things that you add to that basic format that expands your match. You're used to your basic format right now, so you're used to going like 5-8 minutes. You add more to that basic format, you spread out your match, and you're able to form into something longer and tell a longer story because you know how to work into everything. It takes time.
Yeah. So that's a good segue into. I remember the question I was going to ask, but I'll artfully weave it in somewhere else. By the way, these microphones are like the worst, Robbie. So you have to hold them like an inch away from your face. You're like gesturing again and all that. That's cool. Don't worry about it. But for the listeners, if you want to donate money to this so that we get actual microphones so we don't sound like shit, please feel free to.
Yeah, they don't give a shit.
Yeah, nobody gets anything for this. But so, how long did it take you personally before the fog started to lift in your mind on like, okay, I've got this base now. I'm learning more and can bring and can start expanding this match. You know, does that come with moving your way up the card, or does that come with like, you know, now I'm ready and I'm just going to start doing it?
It basically comes with experience and training. The more you train, the more you retain, and the more you retain, the more you learn.
Yeah, train, retain, and learn. I like that.
If you, like, I'm telling some of the guys down here that, you know, you're only training Monday, and then you're doing a show on Thursday. So you learn something Monday, you use it Thursday, then you come back Monday, you rehash what you learn a few more things, and then you do the same thing, repeat. And if you're only doing that, do you know how long it's going to take you to learn your craft? When I was training 6 days a week.
Wow.
Plus working a 40-hour job, and no matter what, I was down here training.
Yeah, plus you have a family, too.
Yes, and well, now I do. Back then I didn't, but I was still working 40 hours a week and coming here. I mean, some days I would miss work, and I would still come to training.
Uh-huh.
If I had a backache, a headache, it didn't matter. I was still at training.
Wow.
Whether I got in the ring or not, I was still there learning. We used to have to keep notebooks and write down stuff that we learned, and we would get things approved to be able to use our matches. And, you know, after, you know, you get so much in your book, it's like a Rolodex in your head. Like,
wow.
You don't be able to, you know, get that blank deer in the headlights and stuff like that. You won't give that 3 to 5 seconds that kills a spot. You'll know how to keep it going and keep flowing because you'll have so much, you know, retained up there in your head that you always have something to go to.
Right. Yeah, so nobody was there to see that tonight, and this will only be for the 3 people in the car, but sweet Jesus, that Northern Light suplex tonight looked fantastic.
It was real nice.
My God. It came out of nowhere and I was like, wow, perfect bridge, perfect, you know, so getting that 6 days of training, getting that Rolodex, keeping that fluency, I see exactly what you're saying.
You know, I think we should bring the notebooks back. I remember those from 07, and I found them incredibly useful, even with the little bit that I did back then. It's
very knowledgeable. People like any of people that I've trained, that's what I tell them to do. That way, not only is it good for them, but it's good for me. So the next time you come to training,
yeah, you got the book.
Give me your notebook, and I'll call out a couple things. Show me what you got. You know, let's just go over.
Right. Yeah. Let's drop down, get it again. Let's see that.
Let's see it. Let's do it. If you know, and that way, it's always there. You know what I mean? And you can. I know some guys from the Carolinas that they carry a notebook and they put spots in there. So when they meet new people, they can have a common spot, and things work out where you're not, you know, when you wrestle somebody for the first time, it's always that, you know, that feeler match, you know, you feel that guy out, see how he works. But if you have a little bit of something extra, hey man, do you know this spot? Or even let them read it, go over it, and you can get chemistry that way, and things will click. And I mean, not everybody does that, but I mean, it's something.
It's shorthand. It's a way to get in there.
Something you'll see on the road when you get out there and you're doing the thing. And it's very, very useful.
Yeah. So I mean, that brings up a good transition to a question. When you first wrestle, and this is a kind of a two-parter. When you first wrestle a new guy that you've never wrestled before as a vet, How do you come into that? And and I'd like to think of this as you've never. Now I know you do a tremendous amount of prep, and that's what makes you a pro. Is that you do your prep, you know who you're wrestling, at least you know try to get their moves or try to get a feel on them. But if you walk in cold, how do you deal with that?
First, I like to just get to know the guy a little bit. How long you've been in the business, where do you work, who have you worked, what kind of stuff do you like to do. If you already know what you're doing that night, you can be like, okay, so how do you feel? What do you feel we should do? It's easier to like ask what they want to do first, and then kind of incorporate. Especially if I'm the one with the more experience, like give me what you know, and I will incorporate the best things that you got into our match to make you look good. I don't want you to do something that you've never done. I'm not going to do something to you that you've never taken. So talk to me. Let me know what it is that you do well. I'll take those moves. We just got to figure out how we're going to put it into our match. So
right.
It's just easy to just sit down and have a little chat with even if it's somebody you have worked with. It's always nice to switch it up,
Uh-huh. So now let's reverse it. You walk into the locker room and now you got to wrestle a vet. And you're coming in to wrestle, I don't know, the Patriot, Carlito, and somebody on the road is, boom. How do you deal with that?
Same scenario. Just now I'm asking the questions like, what do you want to do? Basically, what do you want to do? And
right, yeah.
Whatever they say, then you just go feed off of that. And they might be like the roles reversed. They'll ask me what things do I like to do, or what do I know that I can do 100% Chris without screwing up.
Right.
And that's what I'll do in the match. Like if that's what they want me to do, I'll say, do you feel comfortable taking a belly to belly or drop kick from the second or whatever? As long as they want to do it, that's what I'll put in the match. I'm not going to throw out something.
Right, yeah.
I'm not going to say, hey, Patriot, you feel like doing like a Hurricane Rana, whatever.
Uh-huh.
He's not going to want to do something like that.
Don't sell him short. He might go.
He might, because he can still go. But I just don't see that.
So, go ahead.
Who would you say is your favorite opponent over the years? Do you have a favorite?
I have several. When I was training, my favorite opponent was Viper.
Oh, yeah.
I wish he never quit wrestling. That dude, he had some mad skills. He did.
I remember him.
He'd probably be one of the top cruiserweights in this area if he would have stuck with it. After left down the House of Pain, started traveling. Me and Klein were tag team champions all over the place, and then the league started breaking us up, and we had a 6-8 month feud. So wrestling Klein, knowing him so well, we meshed like really well as opponents too. So we were getting booked everywhere, having this, not the exact same match, but we were having the same match.
Right, yeah.
Everywhere. And now...
which I could assume as a vet, and working with a guy that a guy that you've been working, that each one of them successively, you're pushing yourself further and further.
Oh, yeah. You want to have a better match than the next, and, get a different reaction from the crowd, and well, maybe we'll try this tonight, see how they react. If it don't work tonight, when we go to the town next week, we'll try something different. Different crowd, different.
Right. Yeah.
And that's how you learn, like what works, what doesn't work, and it's useful, like doing things like that.
Yeah, and it's and I'm sorry to cut in. I apologize, Robbie. But normally, like, and we'll go back to sort of theater. Normally, you get like a rehearsal period, and then, or you get something, you run in a show, and after about the third or fourth show, this is where this laugh is. This is the best part. But being a pro out there on the circuit or going out there and wrestling, this is going to be the hardest thing in the world, because you walk out there and you go, well, I don't know how this, especially the first week, first two, however you're going in, man, I don't know if how this is going to work out. Like, how do you shake those nerves when you go out and go, God, I don't know how they're going to take this, but...
I mean, I still get butterflies to this day sometimes. It just depends on the atmospheres. Like, if the crowd is loud and I'm pumped and I'm ready to go, I get butterflies. But as soon as I go through the curtain, it's like everything goes away and like the adrenaline starts kicking in, and it's like it's a whole nother world to me. Like, it's undescribable.
Right.
Especially being a babyface coming out and you see like 30, 40 kids with my face paint on and want to get high fives and stuff, man. It's like undescribable. Like you feel like a superhero. I mean, and you get in there and you put on the best match you can put on. And, I've put my body through a lot of stuff. But, like, when you get that feeling, it's like nothing can hurt you. And then you wake up Sunday morning and you feel like you got hit by a bus.
It's the best kind of sore.
So, all right. So I'm going to bring this back into the fitness thing, because I remember, I think this is a good time to bring this in. Shut up, Joe. So you were talking about...
Do you do Kegels?
Shut up. No. God, no, they're kettleballs.
Oh,
Fuck off.
I see.
Not Kegels, you idiot. So wrestling, to people who don't know this, and you might think you're the most athletic person in the world, and I stay very active, very fit. I've changed up the routines a lot, but there's nothing that will blow you up more and faster than jumping in a pro wrestling ring and working a match. How do you prepare for that? And what if somebody who's coming in, how would you go, hey, look, you're a newbie. Look, you're going to come here, you're going to learn some stuff, but this is what I'd want you to do outside of this ring, like on your own, to prepare for what the rigors of getting in the ring are. Because, God forbid, you hate to be in a match with somebody or yourself, and you're getting in 5, 6, 7 minutes, and you're sucking wind, or somebody's sucking wind, and you're like, you got to stop lead-assing, or you got to get up, you got to pop up and feed, or you're killing this. You're just, the heel's got to, at that end there, the heel's got to want to retake that, when the fire comes, or when the comeback comes, that heel's it's popping up because he wants to reclaim, that match. And if the heel's boom, and then let's get back up, boom, get back up, it kills it. So, what would you suggest to somebody go to work on that?
Lots of cardio. I mean, stamina and endurance is a big key, and you could run treadmill, run miles all day, and get in the ring and hit the ropes 6 times, and you can still be blown up. So, like, if they don't have access to a gym or don't feel like running, when they're at training, I'd hit the ropes all training. Like when you first get there, hit the ropes, do your warm-ups, hit the ropes. After you go through some stuff, hit the ropes. Just keep hitting the ropes until that's what's going to get you in ring shape.
Right.
You can be in shape,
right?
But you can't. But there's people that aren't in ring shape.
Oh,
right.
Yeah,
and
like the old wrestlers. There's some when they were bodybuilders, they'd bring in. They look the part, but damn, they're blown up in 2 minutes because they're not used to that cardio, that intense cardio. Hell, look, I'm a tubby guy. I ain't gonna lie. I've lost a lot of weight.
Don't sell yourself short. You're a lot bigger than Tubby.
Oh, good. My favorite cardio is getting in that ring because I'll sweat to death and I'll come out of it feeling all right. And, every time I get in that ring, it just feels a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. Just hitting those ropes, doing the moves, keep it moving, breathing, for God's sake.
And that's going back to me saying, the more you train, the better you become, the more you retain. And, if you're only down there hitting the ropes twice a week,
right,
you're going to wrestle like you're only down there hitting the ropes twice a week.
Yeah, and your body, you build up that body fluency and your body, the learn muscle of like, okay, now I need to rest. Now this is when I need to pick it up. This is where the speed comes in. But yeah, oh God, there's nothing worse than being in the middle of something and then going, oh my God, I'm blown up.
But just think of it like this: you guys are talking about being blown up 6 to 8 minutes. I've went 30 minutes. I've did a War Games. I was the first guy in. I was in there for 45 minutes.
My God.
So try keeping your wind.
God.
When you got 10 guys in the 2 cages and you've been in there for 40 minutes. Dude, it was rough. It was rough, but I made it through. You know what I mean?
Right. So that brings me up to a good question here, and so you have a regular flow of a match that we kind of walked over. You know, the Shine Heat comeback finish. When you got a match of that length, I mean, is that something you can stick to, or is that? There's still some give and take in there. Is it?
Well, a match like War Games, you know, you got 2 guys to start, so you're going to start it like you would any other match,
right?
And just the guy comes in, then it becomes a handicap match. Then another guy comes in, it becomes a tag match. You see, and then and then it just keeps building, and then it becomes a punch, chop, kick fest towards the end, and then you have your big home spot, and it just builds. Everything takes time, and same with any match. But like with that match in particular, it was you go singles, then a handicap because it's two on one,
right?
And your partner comes in, it becomes a tag match basically. Then you add another element. It ends up being like a 6-man.
So building onto that, like you've got and this is something that when I started, the trainer would tell me. It was Danny McDevitt with Bone Breakers. He was like, I came in like a total green. I'm a tag team and his thing was, you can't be a good tag wrestler unless you're a decent or good singles wrestler. And what it sounds like from you as well is so you want to do a match, people can, I could do that. I do an Iron Man match. I'll do a elimination chamber match. You can't be that guy until you're a good singles wrestler, and then you're a good 3-way wrestler, then you're a good tag wrestler, then you're a good battle royale wrestler. So it's all those elements building into it,
and it all expands your time too. Like because a singles match isn't going to necessarily go as long as a tag match,
right?
So if you're used to singles all the time, you get thrown into a tag match and you're going an extra 10 minutes. You're not used to that. So but you do the tag match several times, you start getting used to that. Then like a 3-way, you're moving more. The time's usually about a 10-minute match for a 3-way, but you're moving a lot more. So everything builds. It's the more you do, the more your body becomes adapted to it. And
right.
You get used to it.
Just like if you're, and I'm going to take this back to where Joe loves, just like any workout routine, the more that you get in and the more that you do it, the more your body's going to figure it out, and then you can branch out from there.
So one final question to wrap up this segment. What face paint do you use?
Face paint?
Because I'm thinking about using some face paint there.
It's Craft Smart acrylic paint.
Oh shit!
It's got to be non-toxic, so you don't poison yourself.
Don't tell Joe that.
Look, I found this paint. It was in a bucket somewhere. I don't even. It had a skull on it, so I thought it looked pretty cool. But no, I'm going to use Snoozeroo. Snoozeroo.
I've never heard of it.
Great.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up part 1 of our interview with Wildman Robbie Paige. If you thought we could fit that all into one interview, you are out of your mind. That man has experience coming out of his ears. But a big thanks to Wildman Robbie Paige for sitting down with us for this first interview, and a thanks to Hamish for basically running the whole thing with all the questions he had. Now, to give Wildman a few plugs, if you want to reach him for booking, you can reach him on Facebook at Robert Paige, that's Paige, or you could reach him at wildmanpage160 at AOL.com. We'll catch you next time for this interview series as we see you down the road and in the ring.
That ending sounds good. I like that.